Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm King 5 Meteorologist Adam Claibon. We made it through one day of our elevated fire risk here in western Washington. We still got today to go again, and we are still going to see those humidity values start to fall back down again, just like they did yesterday throughout the afternoon as temperatures start to really creep up. So we're going to go over where we are still expecting to see the highest chance of maybe fires here across western Washington. Plus, we're going to go over the smoke that's in the air. Of course, you've been seeing a lot of that haze around, not only just from wildfires, fireworks last night too. As soon as we saw those start to pop off closer to about 10, 11 o'clock last night, we started to see those air qualities really come down. We'll tell you when to expect an improvement in that and with our temperatures as we expect to see a cool down as we go late on here into the week. But red flag warnings, yes, the elevated fire risk still in place here across western Washington. Still the same spots and until 7 p.m. later this evening for the Cascade foothills, generally above 1,500 feet. And you can see that tongue that kind of whips around parts of South Sound and into Mason County where we had that brush fire yesterday. Again, this is until 7 p.m. tonight. As we go deeper into the night, humidity values will start to come up. We're going to start to see a little more influence from off of the Pacific too, which is going to help to bring some of those temperatures down a little more as we go later on into this upcoming week. Queen Anne, though, looking over Seattle, you can see a lot of that haze still in the sky. Plenty of sunshine out there, though, and we're starting to warm up. A lot of smoke haze here in Granite Falls as well as we deal with more of the dry conditions. And Paynefield, clear skies. We actually had a few clouds move through earlier this afternoon, but looks like those are beginning to clear on out of here. Air quality, it's improving from where it was earlier this morning, seeing more moderate levels as opposed to unhealthy for sensitive groups or just plain unhealthy levels. We expect that to continue to be the case here as we go throughout the next day or so as we get more of that westerly flow off of the Pacific. And you can see that kind of show up here in our wildfire smoke forecast right here. As you can see, a lot more of that working its way farther east across the state as we go throughout the next couple of days. But we still expect to see maybe a little of that smoke from off of the Mason County fire maybe impact us as we start to get more of that westerly wind. Possibly around here in Puget Sound, we can get a little less of that air quality starting to pop up here, which is going to be reflected in tomorrow's forecast as you can start to see those starting to fall back down around unhealthy for sensitive group categories as we head on into the day. For Thursday, today, yeah, it's about the heat and the dry weather again. Seattle, we're up into the upper 80s. We'll have a few spots in the low 90s this afternoon. Let's get to some of the currents because those humidity values coming back down into more the 20 percentile range. So 25% in Puyallup, 27% in Shelton, 35 a little better in Renton, 34 in Seattle. The coast, we're improving out there, now around 50% and starting to creep back up because of more of our onshore push. And you can see that kind of reflected in our wind direction right here. Don't want to see a lot of wind with the dry conditions, but with the coast and things beginning to moisten up a little more, that's actually an improvement across Mason County. Light winds also pretty good. Of course, we like to get a little more of that moisture in the air, and that will happen here as we go throughout the night and into the day tomorrow. And overall, our winds not too terribly breezy out here across parts of Puget Sound as well. So as far as that temperature change, you can see that impact from off of the coast, starting to see that cooler air come in across parts of the north coast, especially where they're made it up into the low 90s up there around Forks, down by 14 degrees in comparison to yesterday. We were about maybe the 1 or 2 o'clock hour here for your Wednesday. So we're at 72 for a temperature there. We're at 86, so still another hot one there. In Shelton, 82 in Renton, 79 in Mount Vernon, 77 in Bellingham. Few showers possible across the North Cascades. Otherwise, it's another dry and hot day across most of western Washington. Here we are early into Thursday morning and start to see some changes popping up here, showing up on future radar. What we're seeing is this milky color beginning to show up here, and that is starting to extend into parts of Mason County. That's the deeper moisture that's going to come along with more of this marine air that's heading its way eastward. Should help out. Not going to do a whole lot here as we go throughout the day tomorrow, and I think here around Puget Sound, it's going to be relatively hot again with more mid, perhaps upper 80s. Another slight chance of a few showers and storms across the North Cascades again, and then we start to see more of a push from off of the Pacific heading into Friday, which will help to cool us down much more noticeably on into Friday and throughout the weekend, bringing highs still into the low 80s, but above, or actually going to be below where we have been recently, and still going to be above average with that average high at 75. Today's forecast, 81 in Blaine, 85 in Arlington, 82 in Tulalip. Again, hot and sunny. Plenty of sunshine with more of that haze around. We'll be up around the 90-degree mark at Redmond, Monroe, 88, 88 in Bremerton, Issaquah, hitting 89 degrees. More 90s possible the farther south you go here for interior spots too, around areas such as Auburn and Yelm, Olympia up to 91, 91 also in Shelton. While the coast will be dealing with more of the 60s. We'll be flirting with the 80-degree mark up there around Forks, but again, we were in the 90s yesterday, so that's an improvement there. Eastern Washington, if you're heading over that way, a lot of 90s showing up there, maybe a 100 or 2 over into those parts. Now, forecast tonight does call for lows to drop back down into the 50s. We'll get a little bit of a break, and again, next few days, we'll start to really see the air cool down. And after tomorrow, I think for us around Puget Sound, it's going to be more of a noticeable cool down Friday and on into the start of next work week, as we'll start to be at least into more comfortable ranges in the upper 70s to low 80s, but again, still well above those seasonal averages. Main concern here for today, yes, the air quality, but it's going to be that fire risk that's going to stick with us here on into the evening. Once we get into the nighttime hours, expect the humidity to start to increase, and that should help us out here as we head on into the end of the week. Be careful with any fire. Make sure that you are also taking it easy if you're outdoors. Drink plenty of water, wear plenty of sunscreen, and limit your time outside if you're a little more susceptible to some of that poor air quality. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll talk to you soon.